77% of Americans say they don't feel financially secure. That number was 72% 2 years ago. It keeps going up. Here's what's strange. It's not just people with nothing saved. It's people with $500,000, $700,000, people who did everything right, people like you. That feeling has a cause. It's not inflation in the general sense. It's two specific compounding cost categories that your retirement plan almost certainly underestimated and that are running on a completely different track than everything else in the economy. In the next 12 minutes, you're going to understand exactly what they are and why the number you think you need is probably $200,000 to $400,000 short of reality. Before we get into the numbers, I want to give you something first. Permission to feel confused. Because the advice you received was not wrong when it was given. It was just built for a different era. Think of your retirement savings like a boat. A well-built boat can cross calm water without any problem. But when the sea changes, when currents shift, when weather patterns move, the boat that was fine yesterday starts taking on water. Not because the boat broke, because the conditions changed. That's exactly what happened between 2020 and today. Here's the structural mechanism nobody explains. Financial planning models were built assuming healthcare inflation tracks general inflation. They don't. From 2000 to 2024, medical care prices rose 121%. Everything else, 86%. That's a 35-point gap, and it's been compounding for over 2 decades. Meanwhile, the traditional planning tool, the 4% rule, was built in 1994. It assumed a 30-year retirement. It assumed average healthcare costs. It did not account for a world where a private nursing home room costs $127,750 per year, where a couple retiring in 2025 may need up to $405,000 just to cover medical expenses with a 90% probability of not running out. This isn't conspiracy. It isn't politics. It's math. The boat analogy holds throughout this video. Your savings are the whole. Inflation is the current. Healthcare costs are the leak nobody warned you about. And right now, most retirement plans in America have a leak. The question is, how big is yours? Now that you understand the structure, here's exactly how it's working against you. Americans were asked in 2025, how much do you need to feel financially comfortable? The average answer? $839,000. Not wealthy, not rich, just comfortable. That number jumped from $778,000 the year before and from $624,000 in 2021, 4 years. A $215,000 increase in what? Comfort costs. That's not a perception problem. That's a purchasing power problem. And here's the part that should alarm you. 77% of Americans say they do not feel financially secure right now. That number was 72% in 2023. It keeps moving in one direction. You might be thinking, but I have $600,000 saved. I'm above average. Maybe. But above average in savings doesn't mean above water in expenses. There's a gap between what the industry tells you and what your actual life will cost. And that gap has a name. 2 names, actually. Here's how erosion actually works and why it's invisible until it isn't. If you retired in January 2020 with $50,000 in annual expenses, you needed $56,000 by 2024 just to maintain the exact same lifestyle. Not upgrade, maintain. That's 4 years of inflation, eating $6,000 per year, real money, gone, just to stay in place. Now, scale that over a full retirement. A $700,000 portfolio at the traditional 4% withdrawal rate gives you $28,000 per year from savings. At 3% inflation over 20 years, that $28,000 buys what? $15,400 buys today. Your lifestyle gets cut nearly in half, not because the market crashed, not because you made bad decisions, because time and inflation did what they always do when nobody's watching. And here's what makes it worse. Healthcare inflation doesn't run at 3%. It runs closer to 5% per year, almost double. So the part of your budget that grows fastest is also the part that inflates fastest. You're not just losing ground, you're losing ground on a slope that keeps getting steeper. Think of it like a boat with a slow current pulling it sideways. You don't feel it on day 1. You barely feel it on day 100. But by year 10, you look up and you're nowhere near where you plan to be. Now here's where it gets serious, and I mean that. Most people assume Medicare covers retirement health care. It does, partially. Here's what it doesn't cover. Routine dental, vision, hearing, long-term care, most over-the-counter medications, and the gap between what Medicare pays and what providers actually charge. Fidelity's 2025 retiree healthcare cost estimate found that a single 65-year-old retiring today will spend an average of $172,500 on healthcare throughout retirement. That number does not include long-term care. It's just premiums, copays, deductibles, and prescriptions. The basics now add long-term care. Nearly 70% of retirees will need some form of it. A private room in a nursing facility averages $127,750 per year. Assisted living runs over $70,000 per year. Even part-time in-home care, someone coming in 3 days a week, adds up to tens of thousands annually. The EBRI, Employee Benefit Research Institute, ran the full projection in 2026. A couple on Medicare with Medigap coverage, that's supplemental insurance designed to fill Medicare's gaps, will need $405,000 saved just to have a 90% chance of covering their medical costs. $405,000 just for health care. Now do the math. On a $700,000 portfolio, subtract $405,000 for health care. You're left with $295,000 for housing, food, utilities, transportation, and every other expense of daily life stretched over 20 to 30 years. That's not a comfortable retirement. That's a countdown. There's one more piece of this that almost nobody talks about, and it hits hardest for people who plan to retire at 62 or 63. Medicare doesn't start until 65. That's a 2 to 3 year gap where you are fully responsible for your own health insurance, no employer plan, no Medicare, nothing. During those gap years, a marketplace health insurance plan for a 62-year-old can run $1,000 to $1,500 per month. That's $12,000 to $18,000 per year just for the premium, before a single copay, before a single procedure, before anything actually goes wrong. For a couple retiring together at 62, you could be looking at $36,000 per year in health insurance alone for 3 years. That's over $100,000 out of your portfolio before Medicare even begins. Most retirement calculators don't model this. Most advisors don't bring it up. And most people discover it the hard way, 6 months after they leave their job, when the first insurance bill arrives. The leak starts earlier than you think. Now that you can see the full picture, let's make it personal. Because where you sit right now, your specific number, your specific age, changes everything about what you need to do next. Let's stop talking in abstractions and talk about you. There are two situations I see most often in people between 50 and 70. Pick the one that looks like yours. Scenario A. You're 58. You have $400,000 in a 401k. You're planning to retire at 65. You probably think, 7 more years of contributions, I'll be fine. Here's the trap. At 65, with $400,000 and a 4% withdrawal rate, you're drawing $16,000 per year from savings. Social Security might add $22,000 total income, $38,000 per year before health care. Now subtract Medicare Part B premiums, $185 per month in 2025, already indexed to inflation and rising. Add Part D prescription coverage. Add a Medigap supplement to fill Medicare's gaps. You're looking at $5,000 to $8,000 per year in premiums alone before a single doctor visit, before a single prescription, before anything goes wrong. Your actual spendable income just dropped to $30,000 a year. That's $2,500 a month for everything: housing, food, car, utilities, travel, gifts, emergencies. You haven't budgeted for the leak, and the leak is already open. Scenario B, you're 66, you just retired, $750,000 in savings, Social Security already coming in. You feel for the first time in your adult life a little safe. Here's what the financial industry wants you to believe. You're fine. Stay diversified. Let the advisors manage it. Trust the plan. Here's what the math actually says. $750,000 at 4% withdrawal is $30,000 per year. Add Social Security at $26,000, total $56,000 in annual income. That feels like enough until you subtract health care. Remember the EBRI projection, $405,000 potentially reserved for medical costs. Over 25 years, that's $16,200 per year if you spread it evenly and nothing catastrophic happens. But if you need a nursing home for just 3 years, that's $383,000 in one concentrated hit in one chapter of your retirement. That's not a worst case scenario. That's a 70% probability event. A $750,000 boat can survive calm water. A healthcare storm can sink it in 3 years. Here's the trap that both scenarios share. People think safety is a number. It isn't. Safety is a number minus your real projected inflation-adjusted costs, especially the ones that grow faster than everything else. The industry sells you the number. They don't sell you the subtraction, because the subtraction is uncomfortable, and uncomfortable clients ask harder questions. Now you know the subtraction. So what do you actually do? You don't need a complete financial overhaul. You need 4 specific moves, and you can start all 4 this week. Step 1, run your real healthcare number today. Go to Fidelity.com or use the Milliman Retiree Health Cost Index. Both are free online tools. Input your age, health status, and state of residence. What comes back is your personalized projected healthcare cost, not the national average. Your number. This takes 15 minutes. Most people who do this find they are underestimating by $60,000 to $100,000 or more. That single number will permanently change how you look at your balance. Step 2, carve out a dedicated healthcare reserve bucket. Inside your existing portfolio, mentally separate a healthcare reserve. Think of it as a bucket that never gets touched for vacations, home repairs, or gifts. If you're 60 and in decent health, target $175,000 to $200,000 allocated to conservative, inflation-linked instruments. Specifically, TIPS Treasury inflation-protected securities, which automatically adjust their value with the Consumer Price Index, or I bonds for shorter time horizons. This is your leak repair fund. It exists for one purpose only. Step 3, pressure test your withdrawal rate right now. If you're currently using the 4% rule or planning to rerun your numbers at 3.2% instead, on a $700,000 portfolio, that's $5,600 less per year in withdrawals. Yes, it's a cut, but it's the cut you make consciously today, not the one that gets forced on you in year 12 after you've already built a lifestyle around a number that no longer works. Step 4, get one long-term care insurance quote this month. A hybrid life insurance and long-term care policy for a healthy 60-year-old averages $2,610 per year for men and $4,550 for women. That annual premium can unlock a benefit of $127,000 per year in nursing care if you ever need it. Compare that to paying $127,750 out of pocket every single year, one phone call to an independent insurance broker. One quote, do it this month because premiums increase every year you wait and health changes can disqualify you entirely. These 4 steps don't require a financial advisor. They don't require a big portfolio. They require a decision made now, not later. So why doesn't anyone talk about this clearly? Because the financial planning industry profits when you feel safe. When you feel safe, you don't move your money, you don't ask hard questions, you don't renegotiate fees. Comfortable clients are profitable clients. The number they give you, $1 million, $839,000, whatever the benchmark of the year, is a marketing number. It's engineered to make you feel almost there, so you keep contributing, keep the account open, keep trusting the system. The real number is not a figure. It's a formula. Your savings minus real projected costs, minus healthcare inflation, minus longevity risk. That formula almost never appears on a fund brochure. Now you know the formula. Here's the reframe. Your retirement savings aren't a destination. They're a boat. The sea changed. That's not your fault. But patching the leak, that part is yours to own. When you understand the mechanism, you stop being a passive passenger in your own retirement. You become the one steering. That shift from passenger to captain changes every financial decision you make from here forward. Let's close the loop. 3 things you now know that most people don't. The $839,000 comfort number is already outdated and climbing. Healthcare costs are running on a faster inflation track, and Medicare doesn't cover the most expensive parts. And the 4% rule was designed for a world that no longer exists. That's not fear. That's clarity. And clarity is the only thing that actually protects you. If this video changed how you see your retirement plan, drop a comment below. I read every single one. See you there.